Hey, I hope you're having an absolutely incredible day today. Today, I'm going to be running you through how you can set up your own AI newsletter, or at the very least, be up to date with the latest news in your field using a few simple prompts. So, what you're about to learn is super powerful. I was messing around with it over the weekend and I got some pretty crazy results, so let's dive right in. So, for this, you're going to need Airtable and you're going to need Make.com. So, essentially, the idea is you're going to have AI do a bunch of research and return the latest news for you. So here are all the news articles that were returned, and I have them broken down into different things that I want to be informed about. So breaking AI news, right? Then I got content creator news. The other ones are AI tools, best practices, and then marketing strategy. And these are all centered around content creators. So what's happening is we're doing all these HTTP requests to Perplexity. Perplexity is doing the search for us, and then at the end we're compiling all of those results, and it's creating a record of those news articles for us in a specific format, which is title, summary of the article, and then the link to the article if you wanted to read more. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is put in this URL. So this URL does a call to Perplexity. Perplexity essentially can just search the web and kind of summarize all the articles and read through them all and provide you with, a summary of the information based on what you're searching. So we're going to do an API call to Perplexity. So this is the endpoint URL. We're going to be posting that information so we get that information. And then you're going to want to have the headers accept, application JSON, content type, application JSON, and then authorization, bearer, and your API key. Now, you want to set the body type to raw, content type to JSON. I have the model set to Mistral 7B Instruct. If you go in their documentation, there's different models you can mess around with, but this is the one that I'm going with. And then messages, role, system, content, be precise and concise. And then the role is set to user, and the content is essentially saying perform multiple searches to find the latest breaking news on AI as of now. So the way I got that now is you go in here, on the calendar, and you can just click on what's going on here. There you go, now, right? And then it'll bring in that variable. So you're always getting the latest information from notable figures such as Elon, Jeff, Sundar Pichai, Sam Altman, etc., and companies like OpenAI, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, etc. Present the information in the following structured format with title of the article, summary, brief summary, and then the link. Ensure the information is up to date and focuses on significant developments, statements, announcements that are relevant to content creators. Then we want to make sure that we parse the response. So they're all slightly different, but they're all pretty much the same, right? So if we look at content creator news, right, it's the same thing, but specifically related to content creation using generative AI. If we look at AI tools, perform multiple searches to find the latest AI tools that are beneficial to content creators as of now. So same thing, same with best practices, and same with marketing strategies. And then we are going to create a record in Airtable. So you want to do your connection. Okay, so you're going to create an Airtable record. So you're going to go ahead and make your connection to your API key within Airtable. So to do that, you would just come into here, click on your name, go to the developer hub, and then in the developer hub, you would go create new token under personal access tokens, and then copy your API key, and then you would paste it in here. The base that I've set to is AI news. The table is AI news, and then you want to run it once and then set every single one of these to date, choices, message, content. So come into data, go choices, message, and then content, and that's where it'll be pulling it from. I'm gonna go ahead and save that, and yeah, so it's gonna create the record for you. So in our Airtable right now, I have the following. I have ID, so just an ID number that's self-generating when I hit plus. So to do that, you would just add auto number right there. So it's a self-incrementing number. Then I got notes. So this is just a long form text field, which is where we are sending everything that we learned, or everything that was gathered is being pushed to there into the notes section. And then I have a date, which I have a formula set, which is always setting it to the default of the current date. So whenever a new record gets pushed, it'll have that current date. And then I added in 4 statuses. So new entry, so whenever a new entry gets populated, it gets tagged with new entry. Then I have create newsletter, review, approved, published. So if you go into automations, right now I have whenever a new record is created within the AI news table, It's going to update the record, the table being AI news, the record ID being the Airtable record ID, with the status new entry. So that's whenever something new gets created, it's going to get the current date as well as new entry status. So now my thought process was, okay, I'm going to read through this. If I'm creating a newsletter, I'm going to read through this and I'm going to keep what I think is interesting and what I want to have discussed. And I'm going to delete what I don't want included in my article. Like for instance, one of the posts was talking about Bard, and Bard's been out for a while, so I didn't want to include it, so I deleted it. Same thing here. Sam Altman discusses the ethics of AI at MIT. I'm not really interested if I'm a content creator in that per se, so I'm going to delete that as well. I'm just going to read through all of them, and after that we are going to work on the next steps, so that when I switch this status into create newsletter, it is going to trigger the newsletter creation. We're going to set up another scenario within Make that is going to take these notes that have now been slimmed down. It's going to do more research, and then it is going to pull back a newsletter that is going to be presented to you, set the status to review process for you to review, and then when you hit approved, it will trigger an email campaign sequence that will push this to all of your followers. So let's get started. This is pretty funny. So look at one of the content creator news. Study generative AI outperforms humans in creating realistic news articles. Well, let's test it out. Hey guys, so now we're gonna add a watch records Airtable. So I'm going to set it to the AI news base. Same thing with the table. All right guys, so for this to work properly, we need a last modified time. So we're gonna head back in here. Create a new record. It's gonna be called a last modified time. There we go. I'm gonna set the limit to 1, the label field. All right, so we're just going to do status is equal to create newsletter and hit OK. So from now on, it's going to trigger. I'm going to run this module only. And there you can see once it was switched into create newsletter, the output bundle was it grabbed the status, create newsletter with the date, the ID, and the notes of it being last modified, the ID, etc. So now we have that information that's been passed. We're going to add another module, and this module is going to create our AI newsletter for us. We're going to add OpenAI, create a completion, go ahead and use the latest model, message, the role we're going to set to user, and now we're going to create our message content, and for max tokens, let's do 1,000. Okay, so the first role we're going to set is system. So you're an AI tasked with generating a weekly newsletter for content creators. Use the provided articles to create an engaging and informative newsletter. Include a brief introduction, a summary of each article, and a conclusion. Format it in a professional and reader-friendly manner. Make it engaging to read and your tone humorous at times. And the second role is going to be set to user, and the message content is going to be the notes of what we just fine-tuned. We're going to say here are the articles to include in this week's newsletter. Here we go. So we're going to go ahead, hit OK. That's going to generate a completion, and then we want to push it back to Airtable. So we're going to go ahead, update a record, and I'm just going to add another field here. It's going to be long text, and it's going to be called newsletter draft. Create that field. We'll drag it next to the notes. So we'll choose the base once again, table. The record ID is going to be equal to the ID that is right here. And the newsletter draft is going to be equal to choices, message, content. And then we are going to set the status to review. Let's go ahead. We'll run that once. Okay, let's switch that into create newsletter. And now that should trigger this. So we run it once. You can see that it has gotten that ID, is now creating the completion for us. So it's creating our newsletter. So we can go and check it out. Welcome Creative Minds to your one-stop shop for all things AI and content creation. 8 stories this week are packed tighter than a New York subway train during rush hour with insights about the future of tech, marketing, and content. Buckle up, grab a coffee or tea, no judgment, and dive in. So you can see it's pretty funny, right? So Elon Musk, the man who might secretly be an AI himself, shared his thoughts at the World AI Conference Center 2024. His main concerns, AI taking over jobs, but don't worry, he also sees new industries popping up like mushrooms after rain. Must stress the need for ethical AI use, probably so we don't end up in a Terminator movie scenario. Read more. Then you can click the link and read more about it. Just when you thought Amazon couldn't get any smarter, Jeff Bezos drops Project Brainwave. This initiative promises to make Amazon's AI faster and more efficient, so next time you get your toilet paper delivered before you even realize you're running low. Thank Bezos and his Brainwave. Right? And then they're all pretty great. Goes through content creator news. So you could format it slightly different if you wanted, but see the power is really there. Pretty incredible for something that you would have had to research through it all. You would have had to find all of these articles, compile them, read through them. It's now literally just the click of a button. And so I can set up my AI news to run on whatever frequency I want, populate it here, and then I could literally just set the status to create newsletter. It'll create the newsletter, pop it back in the newsletter draft. And now we're going to build out the final step where when we switch it from a review to approved, it'll trigger another automation, which is going to push this to your team or push this wherever, through whatever channels you might want. It's very similar to the one that we just did. Same thing, we're going to watch the records, set it to 1 minute intervals so it occurs pretty frequently. By the way, we're using this one instead of the webhook one because this is just available with the free plan. If you want to upgrade to pro and get instant, then you can do that. Otherwise, you can wait a minute and it'll refresh. So go ahead, connect our base to same table, trigger field, last modified. But the label field status doesn't really matter. We're going to return one record and the formula, whatever the status is equal to approved. So what's going to happen is I'm going to read through this now. We're going to edit it, make it how we want it, make it look nice, and then add in our own personal touch. And then once that's complete, we'd come down here, flip this into approved. And so the trigger is essentially saying this has been, the trigger field last modified time has been updated and the status is equal to approved. Just put in an email, send an email to your email recipients. Let you configure that how you want. Subject would be, the AI newsletter, and the content would be equal to the newsletter draft that is now complete. And that's pretty much it. And then if you wanted, you could also push it to, other platforms. So if you had a web page, you could publish it to a web page. Possibilities are truly endless here, but that is pretty much it. And that is how you can create a newsletter using AI that's niche specific to whatever your business is. And this will bring workload down from having to curate all of this content, maybe even hire a team, to being able to manage it yourself, and all within maybe 10 minutes of your time a week to just read through the articles that are going to inform you anyways and keep you up to speed on the latest advancements within your field, and be able to edit it and publish it directly through Airtable. So hope you got immense value out of this video, and if you did, please consider dropping a subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Hope you have an incredible day. Peace.